Welcome back to Cheddar, everyone. The national spotlight has been on the nation's governors like never before, thanks to states' measures in handling the coronavirus. Oregon, like others around the country, has seen a spike in cases as reopening advanced, causing the state to put a pause on reopening. Joining us now is Oregon's Governor Kate Brown. Governor, great to have you with me today. You've called this a yellow light of sorts on reopening, but walk me through the decision to put this temporary pause on reopening efforts.
Thank you, and great to see you this afternoon. Well, in Oregon, we make public policy decisions based on science and data, and we took early and aggressive action to close the state down because we wanted to make sure that we kept people healthy and safe. We've begun the gradual reopening process, again, based on science and data and working with epidemiologists and medical experts. We knew when we would begin to reopen that we would see an increase in cases. So I hit the pause button because I wanted to make sure that we understood the data and what was driving the increase in cases. We know where the increased cases are coming from, and we feel comfortable moving forward at this point in time. But I am requiring, in our metro areas, I am requiring Oregonians when they go into indoor public spaces to wear face coverings.
Science and data are two words that I love to hear in this case. So on that note, is there any kind of quantitative benchmark or otherwise that you're looking at to cause you to accelerate reopening, or on the flip side, to institute a stay-at-home order again, for example?
Look, we knew this was going to be a gradual process. I grew up in Minnesota. We used to go skating on the lakes there, and as we started to go out on the ice early in the winter, we would test the ice and make sure it was safe enough. And if it felt safe, we would continue forward. Obviously, if we heard cracking or it wasn't going to hold our weight, we moved backwards. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We hit a pause button for further reopening. We're looking at the data, particularly around hospitalizations and cases that we cannot trace to a particular source. Right now, we know that the vast majority of cases in Oregon are coming from three places. Number one, congregate care, folks living in assisted living facilities. Number two, workplaces, primarily agricultural, seafood processing, where folks are in close contact. And the third, social gathering. And here's the very concerning point. We know that a number of the newer cases, many of the folks contacting the virus, or shall I say under 50, and that's driving some of our case counts. We know that a lot of folks that are in the very vulnerable category, over the age of 65, are staying home and being careful, and that younger folks who might feel less susceptible to the disease are, shall we say, doing some social gathering. I just want to encourage folks to wear their face masks, to wear their face coverings when they're going out. Make sure they're coughing and sneezing into elbows, and of course, washing your hands to prevent the spread of coronavirus.
Governor, I too grew up in Minnesota, so I appreciate that ice analogy. That made a lot of sense to me. But you've also had some calls, or made some calls, to keep some of your pandemic-related executive orders permanent. For example, extending the moratorium on evictions, limiting foreclosures. Are you hopeful that these kinds of things will help to get Oregon back on its feet and promote economic growth going forward?
Absolutely. Oregon is very proud of our hospitality industry. We thrive on what we think is one of the best restaurant scenes in the entire country. The farm to table movement, at least a part of it, started here. We're very proud of our homegrown Pinot Noir and our home brewed microbrews. So we want to make sure that we are opening the economy slowly and gradually in a way that protects public health. And protecting people's health and safety is my number one priority.
I do want to turn quickly to the 2020 election. Given that there's a lot of conflicting information from the federal government about mail-in voting, what are some misconceptions about mail-in voting that you'd like to debunk, given that Oregon has used this practice over the last couple decades?
Well, thank you for the question. Oregon truly led the way. We were the first state in the country to vote by mail, vote at home. But during a global pandemic, no one, absolutely no one in these United States of America should be forced to risk their life in order to cast their ballot. And so I think, vote at home, vote by mail is a great solution to protect public health and safety. The president does it. We should all be able to do it. But more than that, it's absolutely secure. It's very cost effective. And because you have paper ballots, you can replicate, you can verify the result. And in this day of hacking, potentially computer systems, I think it's so important that we be able to do a recount. So vote at home, vote by mail saves lives, and you can replicate the results.
Lastly, Governor, I want to hit on the renewed national conversation around racial injustices. A lot of localities obviously debating police reform. What is the #1 thing you want to pass in Oregon?
Great question. The killing of George Floyd was a stain on this country. We all must take action, and that means tackling and increasing the level of police accountability. We are looking at legislation to ensure that law enforcement can be held accountable. I look forward to signing the bill in the next week or so.
Governor, thank you so much for your time today. Stay safe. That's Governor Kate Brown of Oregon. Thanks again.